Hey Queen, it's your girl Takia. Welcome to Queen Bee Frequency on Omega Radio, your space for growth and becoming her.
Hey Queens, welcome to Queen Bee Frequency, where energy shifts and queens rise. Today we're going to talk about something that I know a lot of us struggle with, but a lot of us are trying so hard to make happen, and that's protecting our peace like it's luxury. Okay, Queen, you know it's important to protect your peace. The reason why I decided to go with this segment is about 2 weeks ago. I walked into a room, and when I tell you the energy in there was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. I had to check myself. Like, girl, did you bring this energy in this room? I really had to sit with myself and make sure that I was good. But it wasn't me. I looked around the room. I realized there was some tension happening, but it was up to me not to absorb it. So I couldn't leave. So I had to stay, obviously, and just work through it and go through some positive affirmations so that I didn't collect any more baggage, because that's exactly what we do when we absorb other people's energy. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. But the hard part about protecting your energy is that most of us, when we're on the road to protecting our peace, we wait till the last minute to decide, you know what, in this moment, I'm protecting my peace. When you're already overwhelmed, when you're already irritated and irritated with another individual or a situation. No, it's something that we practice on a daily basis. So when problems arise, we learn how to self regulate. And that way, we're not carrying issues with us into the next day. That's what I'm talking about protecting our peace like it's luxury. We want to make sure we don't get too worked up or reactive to every single thing that comes our way. But some of us like to allow the people that irritate us and disrupt our peace. We give them VIP access to our lives. And that's the issue. Not everyone deserves a front row seat and access to you. Your energy is expensive. The reason why I know your energy is expensive is because anytime you get worked up, irritated, you're arguing with someone, or something is off, after you self regulate and you get back to a normal state, you feel exhausted. So you spent unnecessary energy on a situation that does not serve you. How many of you queens do that on a daily basis, or just in your life in general, where you feel like you have a really hard time self regulating? Well, all we got to do, we talked about it last week, is in order to get us to a state where we can calm, especially when we can't vacate the premises, like me the other day, is we learn some breathing exercises so that we can just settle ourselves and then return to what we're doing. But we don't give VIP access to the people who deserve to stay in the waiting room. All right. We want to make sure that we keep our peace and we treat it like it's expensive, because it is. And while we know that self care is very important, going to the spa, getting a facial, getting our nails done, we all love to do that. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when we look at our phone and we know the person that activates us is calling, or someone who wants to trauma dump on us is calling, and we don't have the capacity to receive it in the moment, and we answer the phone, we are doing ourselves a disservice. Or when we entertain situations or conversations that we know is going to send us into a downward spiral, we have to make sure that the first thing we do is we learn how to self regulate so that we don't spin out of control. We keep our energy and we don't spend it because we don't get it back. But the one thing I love to do, because I do trauma dump, that is something that I do, but only with specific people, people that I trust, is my best friend. I call her and I'll say, hey, do you have the capacity or the space to even take on what I'm about to tell you? And based on her response, if she tells me no, that's a boundary that I have to be willing to respect. But if she tells me yes, I always like to test the temperature to make sure that she is feeling okay to take on what I'm about to tell her. And before doing that, we have a nice little conversation and then I lay it on her. You don't want to trauma dump on people. You want to make sure that when you are having an issue or you're in crisis, that you try to self regulate yourself. If you're unable to, of course, that's why our people are there for us. But we want to make sure that they have the capacity to take on those conversations. We don't just want to dump on them. We don't want to stress our community out. We don't do that. Something that may sting a bit, though, Queen, is that every time you overextend yourself, every time you say yes to something that you know you should be saying no to, you are teaching people how to treat you. And that's something that my dad always used to tell me. My dad was full of wisdom. And he used to tell me that if you don't correct a behavior as soon as it happens, that you are teaching that individual that the way that they just spoke to you, the action that they just did, that it's okay with you. So every single time you interact with that person, or if you ever have another altercation or an issue, that's exactly how they're going to respond. So not only are you teaching them how to treat you, but you're also teaching yourself that your peace is negotiable, and it's not. Your boundaries and your peace should never be negotiable. If you set a boundary, you want to make sure that you follow through with it to protect your peace. I always say as well that my energy is luxury and it's penthouse level suite. And the reason why I say that is because I've been through some critical times in my life, some really trying times, and as I told you guys last week, I lost both of my parents, and that wasn't easy at all. With death, marriage, major change in your life comes a lot of shifts because you're evolving. I had to leave the version of myself that I was before I lost my parents and enter a new version of myself where I was solo. I felt like an orphan. I was on my own and I had to learn how to fend for myself, especially because I relied so much on my parents. We had such a close bond and such a close relationship. When you find yourself in situations where you aren't treating yourself with fairness or you are going back on the boundary that you're set, you want to sit with yourself and be honest with yourself that no judgment, that it was wrong, that you allowed that to enter into your space, and just brush it off and keep it moving and learn how to self regulate on your own. But you're not being mean because you have boundaries. Actually, having boundaries is a very, very healthy thing. You want to make sure that you know that having boundaries means that you're aligned. You're actually aligning with the woman, the version of yourself that you need to be. Because the old you cannot fit in the new version of you. You don't want to revert back. Like we talked about growth last week. You don't want to go back to the old version of yourself because it's comfortable. You want to stay in your power and maintain your boundaries. You don't want to go back on them because, like I said, you're teaching that individual that it's okay that you flip flop every once in a while. You're not serious about how you actually feel about a boundary that you set. How many of us actually do that? I've done that so much in my life where I go back on things that I've said to appease an individual and I'm making them happy and taking away from myself. And that's not healthy. A scripture that I love very much is Proverbs 4:23, and it comes from King Solomon. And I find it to be very fatherly advice because he states, protect your heart. Guard your heart above all else because every single thing flows from your heart. And what that means to me is that if love flows from my heart, if peace flows from my heart, flows from my heart, everything that I do flows from my heart, the love that I give to my friends and my family, I want to make sure that I'm protecting the energy because I'm I don't want to believe anything that something we talked about last week. Let's go to that so you understand where I'm coming from. Is that anytime you believe something, it affects your action. Because, for example, if I believe that I'm not worthy, it's going to show up in my actions. So you need to believe that you're worthy of having penthouse level suite energy and peace. You deserve it. You've been awarded that. You need to protect your heart because everything flows from it. Your joys, your decisions, and everything you make, every relationship that you have. So, one thing I want you to do with me right now is whether you're driving, which I want you to be safe, but if you're driving and you're able to pull over, cool. If you're at home or at work, pull out your little compact mirror. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and I want you to say this with me and I want you to believe it because remember what I said. Everything you believe will show up in your actions. So I want you to say this with me. My energy is sacred and I move like it. I didn't hear you guys. Say it one more time with me. Look in that mirror, look in your eyes, and really say it. My energy is sacred and I move like it. See, you have to believe that because all of your actions from here on out, since you've committed it to memory, is going to show the people around you. Your energy is going to exude that you are not to be played with, that you have boundaries. Your energy is sacred and you want to block any negative energy that may come your way. Of course it'll come. God gives us discernment. We want to exercise it. So when you look at your phone and you see that friend that's calling you with the drama or calling you to gossip or discuss situations that you're not comfortable with, that you know exactly what to do. Because why? Your energy is sacred and you move like it. And before you go, Queen, I want you to do this. And we talked about this, about journaling and how it's one of my favorite pastimes because in my book, um, the the self love journal on Amazon, the Be Luck Self Love Journal, I wrote about how important journaling can be. And there's a segment in the book, in many of the chapters at the end of them, it's called brain dumping. And what I expect my readers to do there is to answer journal prompts and just dump everything that they feel, every trauma that comes to their mind. And they've been holding on to it. Take it out on the page, write it out, and release it so that what I want you to do is when you get some time, sit with your journal and sit with yourself and write down what's draining me. What has been draining me lately? And the first thing that pops into your mind, that's what I want you to write. After you sit with it for some time and you really evaluate, like, wow, I want you to then answer this question. I want you to say, why am I allowing access to the thing that is draining me, that is disturbing my peace? Why am I allowing access to it? If I know that is draining me, I have to rid myself of it so that I can regain my self discipline. I can put my boundaries back up. I can feel safe. I can feel secure. I no longer feel triggered. There are a lot of things that we need to get rid of, a lot of clutter that we need to clear out of our lives. But listen, Queen, before we go, I want you to remember something very important. I know you might be going through some changes and you might feel a world of emotions right now, whatever it is that's going on in your life. You are not too sensitive and you are not too much. You are doing the best that you can with what you've got, okay? Do not let anyone make you feel like you need to shrink in order to be digestible. And before anything else, if you enjoyed this talk today, make sure you share it with a queen that's been pouring from an empty cup that definitely needs all this queen bee energy here. You want to share it with a friend. And also tune back in next week at this time at 10 a.m. on Omega Radio. Cannot wait to hear from you guys. And also follow me on Instagram at Takia Fierce, TikeaFiерce, and visit our website at belux.me. BEELUXE.me. There you'll find our one-on-one sessions and our healing circles. Queens, it was a pleasure being with you this morning. I cannot wait to be with you next week, same time, same frequency. And don't forget, stay soft, stay powerful, and more importantly, stay you.
Hey Queen, it's your girl Takia. Welcome to Queen Bee Frequency on Omega Radio, your space for growth and becoming her. Tune in Wednesdays at 10 a.m., where energy shifts and queens rise.